Brian Almon, I believe, is with us. Brian, how you doing, brother? I mean, you know this story very well. Bills, they pass committee, and then they pass the House, and then they get stuck over in the Senate. I'm hopeful. Hopefully, is it hopeful optimism that things have changed? We won't know yet because we haven't really seen a big juicy bill get over there yet. But quick take on that for you.
Well, I think the mask mandate bill will be a good bellwether for how that's going to go, because that was one of the bills that last year it passed the House and then it went and it died in Senator Jim Guthrie's drawer in Senate State Affairs. He really did pick up right where Senator Patty Ann Lodge left off. It seems like the purpose of the Senate State Affairs chair is to block legislation that the leadership doesn't want to hear. Even last year, on the last day of the session, Senator Tammy Nichols made a motion on the floor to pull that mask mandate bill out of the drawer, out of Senate State Affairs, and put it before the Senate. And of course, Democrats and their friends in the Republican Party killed that idea, saying we need to respect the committee process. Well, the committee process is a little bit broken here, don't you think?
Yeah, it is, man. And, I mean, sure, should chairmen have some discretion on bills? Should they kind of look at it from a standpoint of saying, like, I from what I'm hearing, people are going to have a major issue with this particular component of the bill. So maybe you should go back and try and fix it or do something else. I mean, those types of things where you're trying to give constructive criticism on a bill can be helpful, but to just deny the will of the other body.
Especially the ones that have passed one body and then are just being held up by a single person on the other side. Even the governor, if he vetoes a bill, it can be overridden by 2/3 of the legislature.
Right.
So some of these committee chairs have essentially more power than the governor.
Yes, exactly. Okay, very good. Well, other things in this morning in where are my notes here? Over in the House Rev and Tax, Representative Jason Monks had a bill that ups the food tax credit. I know this has always been a big contentious topic. The fact that we tax groceries is like ridiculous. But I'm just an anti-tax person in general, so to speak. But I understand the arguments, even conservative arguments, when it comes to taxing food, because we have out-of-state. We're a big tourist state, so we can generate a lot of money off of that. But when it comes to the tax credit portion, kind of walk us through a little bit here, Brian, if you will, on what this bill this morning does and what you believe it hopes to accomplish.
So Representative Monks presented an RS, so it's just getting printed just now, to raise the grocery tax credit. Now, what is the grocery tax credit? There's been some contention about that. It wasn't actually called that in statute until 2008. However, in my research, I found that it was colloquially referred to as a grocery tax credit. The legislators who created the sales tax in the first place, way back in 1965, they knew that taxing food was at the very least unpopular. And so they, at the same time, created this credit that you claim on your income taxes. And that started really, really low. It was like $5 or $10 at first, and it stayed that way for a long time. But over the last couple of years...
Well, the sales tax was low then too, right?
Sales tax originally started at 3%, and it crept up all the way to 6% by the early 2000s.
Yeah, so we've doubled... not only do we have inflation, but we double the percentage.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
So that's been the debate. Even from just within a year or two after the sales tax was first implemented back in 1965, you had people saying that we need to exempt groceries from that tax. So this has been a long-standing debate for the last 60 years in the Idaho legislature. And there's a lot of attempts lately to what they call repeal the grocery tax, exempt groceries from sales tax like they do in a lot of other states. And that's been a one push this year. But then on the other hand, there's others who say, well, let's keep the tax and just increase the credit. So what Representative Monks presented would increase that tax credit. Right now, it's $120 per person. And that's person. That's adults and children. Me and my family of 7, that's a lot of money for us. We actually get more back via the tax credit than we pay in grocery sales tax. Other families are different. If you're just say a couple, retired couple, empty nesters who, enjoy really fine foods, then you're going to be subsidizing that through your grocery tax purchases. So right now, citizens get 120 back and senior citizens get 140 back. Representative Monks's bill would change that to $155 for everybody. It would flatten it out so that everybody can claim the same grocery tax credit. And he claims that this would give about a $50 million tax relief back to the people of Idaho.
Okay, so and he laid out some math here. He said a family of 4 would get about $620 back a year, which would cover like almost just over 10 grand worth of groceries, if that's how much you spend. So you guys can figure out your own math on that and go back through all your receipts and stuff. What I found interesting though, Brian, and this has been the most frustrating thing for me on this issue, is we don't have any clue how much. I won't say any clue. There are clues out there to how much money is generated through grocery sales tax alone by itself. We can see how much sales tax the state is pulling in, but they have to use estimates and they have to use different other states' examples to figure out how much of that tax revenue comes specifically from groceries. We don't know that. But what I found very interesting, and let's make sure we have that clip queued up to the beginning. Let's listen to Representative Monks kind of lay out a little bit of that here, because I have a question for you. Let's go.
We're collecting that tax. We do not separate out taxes when we receive that from grocery stores. So Walmart, we get a report from them. We don't know necessarily exactly how much is from groceries, how much is from electronics, how much is from clothing or anything else. And so that's a guess. I do know we collect sales tax on groceries from people from out of state. And being that tourism is one of our largest industries here in the state, we get a lot of money that comes in from that. That wouldn't change in this scenario. And so that money that we're collecting from those individuals from out of state when they spend their money here, or people who don't file taxes, we're collecting it all and we're not paying any of it back. So I don't know, but I do know that this is a $50 million tax break to the citizens of Idaho. That's what I do know. That's what it will save. Part of I think a larger package this year that we're trying to cut taxes across the board. This is another $50 million that we'd like to cut. At least I would like to be cutting with that.
Okay, Almon, listen to this. Walmart has to tax groceries if they're going to operate in Idaho. But across some of these borders in other states where they don't tax groceries, their machines are set up to not add tax to your tally when you're checking out. So we know that the software exists to either add and not have tax, and there must be a way to run a report that shows how much tax was on a specific item, because if you can identify what a grocery is in order to tax it or not tax it, depending on what state you're in, you should be able to run a report at the end of the year or the end of the day, whatever it is, that shows how much tax you collected for a particular particular bucket of goods. And so why? I mean, is it unconstitutional to force a company to tell us how much, to divide up the taxes that way? Because I'd like to know. We would like to know how much money is sales tax generating, because if we can figure that out, then we can start from a point where we can say, this is how much is coming in, this is how much is going out, and have a better handle on this topic. Otherwise, we're just screaming at each other over this issue.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's we just don't know. I saw some numbers from legislative services that suggested that we're taking in approximately $400 million due to sales taxes on groceries, and they come to that number via a 12.4% multiplier. And I think that was mentioned during the hearing this morning. Where did they get that number? Again, I'm not sure. I guess, like you said, they take it from other states, or they just do these estimates. It would be interesting. Just while you had the clip playing, I went over to my financial spreadsheet. I keep pretty good numbers. And last year, our share of the sales tax we paid as a family, 51% of it was actually for groceries. So that's a significant chunk of what I spent, because I don't know if that's typical for a family my size and age, but that's just my one anecdote here, which is obviously a lot more than that 12% that they're estimating.
So 51% of the sales tax that you paid was groceries.
Correct.
Right. Well, it also just shows that you spend most of your money providing for your family's food rather than going out and stocking the shelves with knickknacks and all sorts of things. So again, and that just proves the point. It could vary. I mean, if you're spending that much on food, I mean, whatever the math is, I guess it comes down to then the question is, since you're getting money back and you're actually, not paying, quote, not paying sales tax if you're an Idaho resident, I guess the question is then, what is the state doing with the money it collects all year? Is it using it to gain interest rate, an interest? Like what is it doing with the money? Because the argument is, why even take it if you're just going to give it back to me, right?
Right. Well, and that's the argument that Representative Monks makes there, is that they take in more than they spend out because of people who are tourists or passing through the state, or people who, for whatever reason, don't file a tax return. And that really is the philosophical question at the heart of this debate. Should they keep the tax and just give the credit, continue raising the credit to essentially take some of that and spread it out to Idaho families, or should they exempt groceries from the sales tax altogether? That's the question. So, well, I know we're going to see multiple bills on this issue, and so we'll have to keep track on that. And I don't know, whatever we can do to just, allow us to keep our money. Like, let's just keep going in that direction, please. Okay. Other news, let's see, which one do we want to get to? I don't know if we have time to get to everything, but, well, I guess, just real quick, Speaker of the House Moyle was in the Senate side, State Affairs, with his code cleanup bill, and that sailed through committee really easily. But Senator Ben Taves was the sponsor on the Senate side for a bill that would allow the Attorney General to investigate or to take care of any city official crimes that the county would ignore or whatever. It would give a path forward for folks who may feel that there was a crime committed by a city official. And currently, the county officials, the AG has the ability to investigate them, but not city officials. And the sponsors are saying it's essentially just an oversight, that it's a loophole that needs to be closed up. Yeah.
So we have a clip here from Senator Ben Taves. He got back up on the dais there to kind of, I guess, answer a question real quick about this bill. So let's watch that.
Chairman Guthrie and members of the committee. Yeah, I'm, as the sponsor, I'm open to sending it to the 14th. I would just add that I think that it's a realistic scenario that you have a complaint against a city official for a criminal complaint. And literally, if it isn't addressed by the county, there's no further recourse. And so my concern is that there should be a way for a citizen or a staff member to be able to deal with something that's that serious that isn't being handled at the county level.
Senator Anthony.
Yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer, especially when we were talking earlier about the mask mandates and things that happened at the city level, right? If there was somebody that wanted to sue their city official for breaking the law and the county said, "No, we're not going to do it," there was no recourse.
Right. And one of the arguments I've heard is that city officials or even county officials are very hesitant to open an investigation against their own people because that can obviously cause a little bit of a friction there in those departments. So that's why you give it to an outside agency, in this case, the Attorney General's office.
Yeah, that's
right. I do
right.
remember last year there was a bill that Representative Skog and I think Senator Taves was part of that would have created a pathway for recourse if government officials violated your constitutional rights. And I keep hearing rumors that it might come back, and that would be another good thing, especially in light of all the mask mandate nonsense from 2020.
Absolutely. I mean, when I think about the fact that, like, if you're seriously telling me that a county official, I'm not saying that this happened, but let's say that there was a city that arrested people for not wearing a mask out in public because they were singing. And then, and they, that would never happen in Idaho, but it did. But if that were to happen and you wanted to sue that city official, or you wanted them to be brought up on charges, it's not about a civil lawsuit, which you can do, of course. It's about saying, hey, you broke the law, and the county, and then the county official or the county AG or whatever you want to call him says, I just had lunch with the guy yesterday. Like, we're on good terms. We go golfing we're neighbors, whatever it is, because we're a small town community state. Like, you're so right. Like it needs to, you got to have a steely backbone, and you got to be able to hold people accountable. It's absolutely ridiculous. So, very good. All right. What else happened what else happened today that we wanted to get to? The SLAPP bill, it passed the Senate floor today, right?
I think so. I've been on here.
We were watching it as well, but they don't have a tally board, so you have to listen if they're doing a roll call.
It'll be interesting to see that roll call, especially since this anti-SLAPP bill was defeated on the Senate floor last year, and
that's right.
Most likely because a lot of people were angry at Senator Lenny and wanted to just kill his bill. So hopefully that has now passed. We're in a new era, and we'll see some more cooperation and movement on good conservative bills.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you like to get into the drama, the behind the scenes drama of this stuff, that bill tally might be an interesting one to look at. Later today, I've got the Senate committee later today, folks. You got it. So here's the thing. So I testified this morning. I did it remotely from the studio on the mask mandate bill, which means that you can do this in almost every committee. Not every committee takes remote testimony. They will take written testimony, but not every committee takes remote video testimony. But you can do it. And later today, in the is it the health and welfare? Senator Lenny has another bill that he's presenting in health and welfare today. They're not doing public hearing on it, but maybe I'm thinking of
it's health and welfare today, an RS related to public health districts.
Yeah, but I guess I'm thinking the Senate Judiciary and Rules. Senator Nichols has the swatting bill, right? So that's today at 1:30 Mountain Time. If you want to, so it's coming up in about an hour. If you want to testify, go down there or testify remotely. Real quick, give us a background on this swatting bill.
So swatting is the act of calling in a false report in attempts to harm somebody. So like a political figure you don't like, you'll call the police and tell them that there's something bad going on at their house and you'd better come rescue them, or hostages or threats or whatever. And so the SWAT team comes in, guns blazing, and people get hurt, people get killed. Right now, according to the law, the only thing those people can be charged with is filing a false report, which is a very low-level crime. Senator Nichols' bill would recognize that this is something people do, and it needs to be cracked down on, and it would raise the penalties for doing that. And she'll be presenting that here in just a few minutes.
Yes, very good, very good. All right, Brian. Well, thanks for hopping on with us today and driving through these committees and this stuff. Where can people follow you and get more of your work?
As always, gemstatechronicle.com. I'll keep writing about what's going on and try and catch up on the session snapshot. There's been a flurry of new bills, which is exciting. And also on Twitter at GemStateBrian. I live tweeted a couple committee hearings this morning, so check it out.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, good to see you, Brian. We'll see you back here tomorrow.